Okay, so a little while back, we started looking at the Transformers Legacy Wave 3 Deluxes, and we looked at Dead End, and we looked at Point Blank, and then we sort of took a little bit of a break, because I brought to you guys my review of Galaxy Shuttle, and then we had a look at something a little festive. Well, we're going to get back on track today with this guy. It is the Legacy Skullgrin, or is it Dauros? I'll explain what I mean, because he and the generations are both pretty fantastic. We're going to dive into it all, and explain it all, and clarify it all, because he's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you're at it, light 'em up, baby! Hit that notification bell, please, as it helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring. Or of course, you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is the new Legacy Skullgrin. And I think there's a strong argument for this guy to actually be the Japanese iteration of Skullgrin, who of course is Dauros. And I'm not gonna lie, I have never been 100% sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's D-A-U-R-O-S, if I'm not mistaken. And he, along with another couple of the Pretenders, appeared in Super-God Masterforce. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Masterforce that they were in. And he's a bit of a different character than the Skullgrin that we know, you know, for the most part from like comics and bios and that sort of stuff. Like I said, there's a specific reason why I think this guy, at least initially, was supposed to possibly be Dauros, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. I think the Generations is terrific. This guy really had a lot to live up to. Did he do so? Is he good enough? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. Okay, so now we're coming back to the Legacy line with the Wave 3 Deluxes again. We took a little break there and looked at a couple of things in between, but we're getting back at it. We've already looked at Point Blank, and we've already looked at Dead End from Wave 3, and this is Wave 3's Skullgrin, or maybe it's Dauros. Not Dauros, Dauros. I know, it's really close. I'll explain that as I said. But I think that there's an argument for this guy being more the Masterforce, the Transformers Masterforce Dauros, rather than Skullgrin. I think there's an argument for that, and I'll explain why in just a little bit. Of course, before we can look at him, we need to look at the packaging first. And here we have our typical packaging for the Legacy line with Skullgrin right here in his vehicle mode. And over here, of course, a close-up on his skull head, which I adore. I absolutely love it. Always did, even back in G1. Our typical Decepticon, half of the Legacy artwork over here, and on the back, we do have our boy in both modes. Oh, we got us some great instructions, so yeah, that's good. And honestly, these are pretty good. They are fairly easy to follow. Oh, we have two of these swords. They are cast in white. The gunmetal gray is all paint. Now, these are apparently the soft rubbery plastic. Both of mine are very straight, like they're not all bent up and whatnot in package, though I have seen that. So I'm not going to go bending this just to show that it's soft rubbery plastic, but it is, and it never ever should have been. It should have been hard plastic. Much like these two blasters, yes, this is one of the ones that makes his turret. The other one is still on his back at the moment. This is cast in purple. Again, the gunmetal gray is all paint, but this is a hard plastic. Nice. I like it. And just so you know what I mean, they go in right here on the side of this. By the way, this whole piece can also come off his back, like the whole turret can remove, and honestly, sometimes that helps with transformation. These can stay on his back, they can go out over his shoulders a little bit, they can come off and go in his hands. There's a lot of neat options as to what you can do with these blasters on his back. It all really relies on what you want done. And here we have a number of Skullgrins, if you will. I do not have my G1 here, unfortunately, though I did look at my G1 Skullgrin in episode 285 a long time ago. both his Pretender shell and the inner robot. To be fair, with the Pretender shell, I no longer have the belt piece. I always found that a nuisance because every time I wanted to open the shell, I had to remove the belt. And I did not like that, so I never really used it. Nevertheless, I do still own the G1 Lad 285. I will put a card in for that. I also looked at, really as part of Wave 1, I looked at all 3 Prime Masters at the same time, and I looked at Wave 1 Skullgrin then as well. And the Generations Deluxe Class Lad I looked at in episode 452, and I love it. That deluxe mold that was also used for Straxus, or Dark Mount if you will. And honestly, it's really hard taking this guy out of it because he's, you know, he's fine, but like he's only a little battle master. He's not that great. Normally, of course, I would be here lamenting, wondering, hey, is one going to replace the other? And it's really hard in this case because, quite frankly, both of them are quite good. This guy we haven't scored yet, but I'm gonna, you know, spoiler, he's gonna do well. The original, I love it. Granted, his ankles might be a little weak on some copies, but overall, man, that Generations one was really, really good, even if stylized. So what I'm probably going to do in this case is I'm going to use the Generations as Skullgrin, and I'm probably going to use the new Legacy Skullgrin as Dauros. And if you don't know who Dauros is, Dauros was in Super-God Masterforce, and it's basically the reuse of Skullgrin. So normally, the way Skullgrin is that his inner robot is very intelligent. He plans things, he's conniving, he's quiet, but he's also brutal, he's very capable. If he's inside his Pretender shell, then Skullgrin with the skull, the outer shell here if you will, is like a snarling, vicious beast who does the most deplorable of things. Now Dauros is, I believe, the partner of Hardhead, D-U-R-O-S. I believe in Titan's Return he was renamed as Furos, but whatever. Dauros is D-A-U-R-O-S. And I'm not even 100% sure that I am pronouncing it correctly. He, of course, was part of the ancient Decepticons that kind of came, I think they crash landed like, I don't know, like in prehistoric times, like the Stone Age or something, or dinosaurs or something like that. Of course, they were chased by like Metal Hawk and whatnot. Anyway, the way the story goes is that the Autobot Pretenders took on like human shells that were much smaller. And the Decepticons, in order to instill fear and wreak havoc, took on monsters. And the monsters they took on led to many of Earth's stories about a number of monsters. For example, I think Submarauder, I can't remember what his name is in Japan now, I'll look it up in a second, but like he is the basis of, I think, like the Loch Ness Monster, right? Octopunch is the basis of the Kraken, and our boy Dauros here is the basis of ancient Greece's stories of a Minotaur, or Minotaur? I don't know exactly how I'm saying that word, but we all know what a Minotaur is, right? And while he is still vicious, he also aspires to have more power. The leader in Masterforce, of all the Decepticons is Devil Z, but of the Pretenders it's Blood. And Blood doesn't really pay too much mind to this guy. Now you might say, Blood? Who's Blood? Well, how about we take the Generations guy out of it and kind of put some other Pretenders in here to clear the air a bit. And this will kind of serve our needs. In North America, there were a ton of Pretenders. There were Mega Pretenders and Ultra Pretenders and all this stuff. In Japan, it was a little bit different. They put out, for example, the Monstructor guys as Dino Force, and they all came with Dino shells. And I think they were actually called like Crossformers or something. Or maybe the Crossformers were something else. I'm not sure now. Oh no, wait. The Crossformers were like Black Shadow and whatnot, right? Black Shadow and Blue Bacchus. We still need a Blue Bacchus, by the way. Anyway, when it comes to like the TV show, Super-God Masterforce, and the Pretenders that really kind of appeared on that, the main ones would be this guy, Gilmer, who is Submarauder, and Blood, who we know as, oh my goodness, Bombburst, and, of course, our boy Dauros here. So this kind of trio is like the main trio. And And they are fleshed out. We do have an animation model to be able to compare this guy to. So I think what I'm going to do is actually use this guy as Dauros, right? He tried to take kind of leadership from Blood. Blood was kind of having none of it and was like, ah, you're useless to me. Now you might be asking yourself, why are you making these references to Masterforce? Why are you calling Skullgrin here Dauros? Well, it's because of early kind of renders and concept art. Taking him back out of it and him back out of it. When we saw the very earliest pictures of this guy, there was a very key difference in one of his colors from the way he is here. That being his chest. Where we have the same sort of maroony color as his feet, his thighs, you know, up here and his biceps, it was a deeper, deeper purple. And you might say, what difference does that make? Well, if you know the TV show, The Inner Robot, and let's be fair, this guy is an amalgamation of his outer shell and his inner robot, but the inner robot had this chest down to the point of having the Decepticon logo in the middle of the chest. So like the main torso, the main chest and abdomen here is the inner robot. And in Japan, in Super-God Masterforce, these pieces were explicitly very Decepticon purple. So I think that it was a nod deliberately to Dauros. In North America, we wouldn't know really that name. We would know him as Skullgrin, and that's why he got the name Skullgrin, and probably why that got recolored, because the purple would have been very jarring to a lot of us outside of Japan. So, all that being said, I hope that you kind of learned a little something there about the lore. Let's get into scores for this guy in terms of the look. I love it. Starting from the feet and going up, because that's basically the best way for us to go here. So his toes should be gray, and indeed they kind of are. The main foot should be purple. Going up the leg here should be gray. The thigh should be this maroony color. They mimic his entire belt going around with the spikes on it. I like that. Then we get to the torso. The torso is the inner robot, and the detailing very true to the inner robot, but changing this purple to this maroon, while it works, I think, better here, it's not exactly accurate to the chest of the inner robot. When we get to the arms of the guy, we have the white, I'll say, spiky shoulder pads. We have the upper arms being the like maroony color. Really the forearms should be the maroon color with just the hands gray. But here we have both the forearms and the hands being gray. And the head is really perfect to the skull that is Skullgrin, or Dauros, if you will. Although, to be fair, in the animation, he does have a lower jaw, like he actually has a mouth. This is a head very true to the original Pretender release in, what, 1988 or whatever it was. I think for an amalgam of the inner and outer robot, this is really, really successful. I'm giving it a solid 9. What about the articulation for the guy? Well, the backpack here, he even has his little tail. The backpack here can go left and right, and these can move back. They can come off, go in his hands. The arms here can go all the way around. They can go really all the way out. There's a swivel at the shoulder, but then there's also a separate bicep swivel. We have an elbow well over 90 degrees. No wrist, that's a bummer. We do have a nice waist, so that's really cool. We have leg all the way forward. We have a leg, if we get the tail out of the way, certainly all the way back. We have a thigh swivel. We have a knee to 90 degrees. If it's not 90 degrees, it's 89 degrees. It's really close. And we do have ankle tilt as well. So most of what we would want. Now, there is one other thing. I just want to kind of make sure that I address this properly. The outer hip, you'll notice we have spikes here. This one, no problem. Goes all the way out to the side. Tremendous. Then we get to this one over here. We'll see how this goes. This one over here has been problematic for me. When I get to about here, see, I just popped it off. It's not tolerance the best on mine. I can get it if I really kind of push it, but yeah, this hip over here, not tolerance the best on mine. And the horn pieces can move The head, by the way, if I didn't say, can go left, right, can look way up and down. So it's good, but again, there, like I can get it, but you just heard right there the like uncomfortable sound of it going in. I don't know why that would be. Anyway, I might have to shave something down there or something. I don't know. We'll see. So most of the articulation is there. We do not have a wrist. That's a bummer. Outside of that, everything else is there. And the guy clocks in at a whopping 91 grams. That's what I like to see. You want to charge me more for a deluxe, you got to give me more. You give me more articulation, and really the only hollowness on the guy is the forearms, which are filled in if you want to make the blades underslung, which really kind of means, like I guess right here is hollow and a little bit on the inner leg, but there's not much hollowness. It's a good hefty 91 grams of plastic. Love it. So I'm going to say, let's see, the look of the guy I'm saying is a solid 9, and I'm going to say the articulation is a solid 9. My hip is a nuisance, and I don't have a wrist. That's it. So a 9 and a 9. Let's do the transformation next and get that out of the way. Now, I like to take the tail and flip it up, and then I like to actually take this off just to give myself more room to work. We're going to take that out, and we're going to take that out, and we have our boy here now all ready to go as is. But just so we're clear, you don't need to take these other things off. I just find it easier to do so. We're going to fold in his hands, and we're going to fold these over. Now, I think this is cool. A lot of people have had issues with their horns bent up. I don't. When I open them out, they're just fine. By the way, the horns are soft rubbery plastic, and the horns up here are soft rubbery plastic. These ones up here, as you put them back, mine like to pop out, but they're easy to pop back in. It's just a C-clip. I think the main part of the head might be hard plastic, but I can't verify that. So we fold in those arms, and we should be able to, pick up this back, fold that in, and pick up that head and open up this chest. And then the whole head comes down. Fold these back. The whole head comes down underneath. Take this and it folds up. So here's the head underneath. In the instructions, what you do at this point isn't super duper clear. To move this piece, really grasp the white and move it. I thought more of this moved out with it, but it doesn't. So worth noting. Then we take the two arms here and bring them in. Oh, and we should be able to turn these this way and they will clip together right there. And we should be able to line them up underneath right there. I might have, there we go, there. Got all of that kind of clipped in there. That's sort of the upper body, if you will, really done. And honestly, I can put this back in, or I could have left it on. It'll go right here. I'll get to it in a minute. Then we take the hips and we bring it down, and we bring the hips forward. So you're bringing the whole hip down, and then you're making it like he's sitting down, right? Like he's sitting down. We're going to take off that tread and bring it back, and take off this tread and bring it back. Bring the feet in and bring the legs together. We're going to bring the tread up, bring it out to the side, bring the tread up, bring it out to the side. These are going to come up and they'll sort of solidify along the bottom, and there's a little like notch here that goes up over right here. Like there's a little notch right, or a little tab right here that goes into a little notch here on the arm. So I'm going to press all of that in and get it on. Got that side on. That side does not want to go on. But basically after and I got to push these up underneath a bit. After I solidify all of that, then I take this piece, and you'll notice, no, I don't have it all solidified, but that's fine. And I'm going to put it right there. Don't mind me having to tab these pieces in. For all intents and purposes, this is done. It's just, it's easier for me to tab the side pieces in if I am able to look at it up closer instead of on here. I'm also a fan of taking these and putting them in right here, or you could put them back here, or you could really probably, no, you can't put them up there. So I tend to put them right there, but you can put them back further if you want. Before I solidify this guy though, I'm going to note this. A lot of people are really put off by the fact that there are only treads back here and not up here. That's accurate though. If you look at the G1, once he transformed, he only had treads in the back. I guess it's Cybertronian, but in the end, boom, he should look like this. And I like it, I do. Now, just again to be clear, because I know I certainly didn't show it correctly, but I want to explain it. This has a little rectangular slot and tab that fits over a part here on like the hip. You'll see it. It fits very cleanly, and that's what solidifies this whole white armature. Then on the actual tread, I guess I can take this one off and show you. We have a rectangular slot in the shoulder, and we have a vertical up and down slot here on the forearm. And there's a rectangular horizontal tab in here and a vertical tab here, and this will come up and really, again, I'm not going to be able to do it now because it's just, for my eyesight, this isn't close enough to me, but they both lock in both the shoulder and there. So this whole armature and tread piece locks into 3 locations. I like the transformation, to be perfectly honest. Can I get this in? Ah, look at that, I got it, nice. I like the transformation, to be honest, and I like putting these on the side. The turret, for the record, can go all the way around, no problem. It has no tires, so you'd have to fake it rolling. The treads back here, yes, it's weird, but it's also accurate. I don't hate this. He had a weird inner tank mode as it was, and I think this homages that nicely. There's enough moving parts here to keep it very interesting, the way the entire torso unfurls and the arms, you know, go in here and even got to turn around a bit. And I like that the entire back of the leg opens out, comes up, and then twists in on the side. I think it's great. I'm going to give the transformation, again, a solid 9. A 9, a 9, a 9. Skullgrin or Dauros, whatever you want to call him and use him as, is a solid entry at 91 grams in the Legacy lineup. And, quite frankly, he makes a solid iteration of this character. Overall score 9. Couldn't ask for much better. And here we are once again, and here he is. So again, there are people that are going to really, really rag on this because they're going to say, hey, he doesn't have an inner robot, he doesn't have a pretender shell. It's not true to what it was originally. Doing those shells, and I've said this a billion times, takes up too much room in a mold plate. It just makes the price kind of astronomical. And while it can be done, it becomes almost silly to do so, right? For what it is that you're getting in return. Just ask Fans Project about that, though I'm not going to lie. I'm very glad I got the Pretender shells for my Dino King. Nevertheless, I think this is a great modern way to do it, and I think it is a cost-effective way to do characters that aren't necessarily the most known by the fandom. I love the Generations, and I really didn't know if I would choose it or this. Luckily, because the Japanese version Dauros is considered a different character really, or certainly can be interpreted as a different character, I think there's room in my collection for both the Generations as probably Skullgrin, and this guy as Dauros, or this guy Skullgrin and the Generations as Dauros, whichever. I will also say this, I lamented the hip being, not stuck, but the hip pad, I suppose, causing the leg to kind of become limited there unless you really pushed it. I shaved a little bit off of the top because it's kind of that soft rubbery plastic, and now the hip goes in and out on this side fine, and the hip goes in and out on this side just fine. Very simple fix. Not even worth calling a fix, really. I think the head sculpt is right on. I think it's fantastic. I think the transformation is kind of unique, kind of clever. I know that a lot of people have complained and said he only has treads on the back, but if you know the inner robot from G1, he only had treads on the back as well, because really the treads were on his lower legs and his thighs just became the front of the tank, right? So it's sort of true to the tank. I don't like that these are soft rubbery plastic. I think that that's not a good way to go for accessories, but I will say this, at least mine on my copy were not at all warped, and the paint is very clean on it. So I give credit where credit is due. I like this. Oh, and the horns being soft rubbery plastic. I don't know, I wish they had a bit of like a thooping locking point of some sort when you bring them out, but they don't. I feel like the gripes I have here are very minimal. Assuming he doesn't start to yellow and change color, which would be super sad, I think it's a really nice update. I think the waist, thighs, and lower legs do a very nice homage to the Pretender shell, along with the head and the shoulders, while I think the biceps, forearms, hands, and torso does a nice homage to the inner robot. It's difficult to do these amalgamations and have them succeed, but I really think they did justice to this guy. Let me know what you think about Skullgrin here, or Dauros if you prefer. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. Yeah, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Stick around, man. Have some fun with us, and especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the video.